Okay, that should work. You'd think I know how the streaming things works by now, but every day is a new adventure. Morning, Mojo. How you doing? Okay, that's that. That's that. Oh, yesterday, we finally hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, which is quite a milestone for me. Someone followed after the stream, which is awesome. Thank you, TWD Paquito. I don't know why you're over there. Why are you over there? Thank you. So, it's crazy. It took me 4 years to get through the first 600, and then less than about 8 months to get through the next 400. So hopefully continue to be consistent and be able to get better at producing some content over the next couple of months. Got lots of different ideas. I was going through I was going through a stream the other day, and the guy was doing some .NET stuff, which was really I like watching .NET app dev. I might be weird, but I do enjoy doing it, and it was interesting because we'd had a conversation on stream about why I was breaking up projects as I was in the main project, and then I went to see his stream, and he had everything in one project. For a particular service, he had everything in one project. So he had his data access and everything, and they just organized in folders. And it made me realize that there's a lot of people that just have different ways of doing things because they've learned in different ways. They've maybe learned all their .NET dev from from looking at existing code bases, right? And not all existing code bases are going to be stunning examples of development. So it's pretty interesting to see. And I was trying to make sure that my questions didn't come across as offensive or like, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. I don't like the way that works." So I have some video ideas on doing some of that stuff. My challenge is actually putting the content together and making it structured because I tend to wander onto different topics. And I was trying to describe the main project. I was like, oh, it's 51 projects now, and there's lots of different pieces and lots of moving parts. And I was trying to explain the data flow and realized that there's a lot of technology already involved in the data flow that people might not understand how that would be used. And it might be helpful to share that. Because on stream, you kind of get it, but you don't always see it. And people aren't always keen to ask questions or even know what they're asking. Mr. Jones, good day. How are you doing? I go to school or anything at my senior dev. So all my learning is GitHub. Doesn't communicate. Gotcha. Well, that's sad. Um, I mean, I didn't go to school. Right? I have no. The only education I have on programming from school is we did um, a blackjack game in Pascal, and that was taught by the IT ops guy, and we were we did a course on Ball and Delphi, and I did the coursework that should have taken at least many weeks in the same class as it was being handed out. So I was not really educated. I educate myself. Melting. Sorry to hear that, Mr. Jones. It's rare I use a concept from comp sci. I went to school, but I didn't do programming. What do you mean by it doesn't communicate? I keep wanting to learn some lower level concepts. I mean, for your sake, I hope the senior dev isn't kind of gatekeeping the content. I mean, I don't get feedback on my code, and this is uh, my first dev job. So, I mean, I don't obviously know you senior developer, but I'd be concerned about. I would be concerned with being patronizing, and understanding what type of content, what type of feedback you'd want. Right? I think mentoring is if mentoring is laid down and it is part of the job, then that person should be mentoring. But if it's just they're the senior developer and they've not got an expectation of mentoring, I think it's on us that have got a bit more experience to at least try mentoring, and I think that's where we often fail because from my perspective, if you're writing some code and it works, then I'd be like, okay, um, yeah. But if I'm asked to like I was asked to mentor someone in my group not too long ago, and we worked on a project, and I kind of gave him the work to do, and then I was like, okay, well, here's what we could do. We could do this different. We could lay this out different, and here's how we can overcome this challenge, etc. And we kind of walked through the code together, and that was a very productive phase. But it wasn't necessarily what I've done with other developers. I did BBC Basic, but that wasn't. I did GCSE IT, although back then it was more like business studies. GCSE IT was extracurricular as well, so it was after school. The closest thing I got was some basic on our Acorn RISC OS computers. Um, Actually, yours and my story there is pretty similar. I took GCSE IT, GCSE IT, yeah, and it was extracurricular, and yeah, it was basically playing around on Macs and Acorn computers. Although we did get some IBM PCs right towards the end of it. That's the other thing. It's not as an expectation. When I review PRs, if there's a change I'd like, I always propose it more of a suggestion rationale why I think it'd be better. My attempts to pair programming people early on have not. Sorry, the dogs are crying. Um, I've not been overly successful, honestly. Invisible TBD. Yes, full bots. No camera on this PC yet. I think I might actually just swap the capture card stuff over later today and get the camera working on this PC because it is working okay. The stream's keeping up with it, etc. Um, but it's just so I don't have two PCs running. I tend to word it as a question, but I'm not very skilled at PR review. Oh no, it's my so this is my normal dev PC, but because I want AC in my room, I can only run one PC at once. So I can't run my normal stream PC if I want to stream. It's currently already it's in the low low 80s here already. So the AC will kick on throughout the stream. Um, yeah, so um, this gives me the ability to still stream while not overpowering the AC unit. If I have two PCs on, I might trip a breaker or something because they're all plugged into. Yeah. He was a solo dev here for a couple of years, and the owner is trying to get him to let go of ownership. The obstacle is mostly, no, I'll handle it. So getting to write code becomes difficult. The code I do write is mostly just finding stuff to do. Okay. So I've done that. I've been that person as well. So at my last job, um, I kind of took on all the stuff that I didn't feel that the team wanted to tackle. I took on any architectural stuff. I took on any hard programming tasks. And there was experienced devs there, but they just didn't show any aptitude for the architecture stuff. It's not, they didn't show aptitude, they didn't show desire for it, right? So they didn't want to go chasing the refined solution. They just wanted to get the code done. Um, um, so I would tackle certain jobs just because I was like, well, you don't want to refine the solution, you want to get the job done. So it often led to me being, I'll take hold, I'll do that, I'll sort it out. Or I'd do that because I was trying to lessen the load on the teammates. Um, that being said, um, I would also try and share like a stream, right? I would also try and share a lot about what I do, and try and get people engaged in that discussion. So yeah, it sounds like um, it might be a bit of both there. Ownership of the code. Yeah. They know good morning or good afternoon, good day. Um, People more junior in our company. Our most junior guy is 5 years coding. Again, we do put a level of time on job on the ability of someone. When we label them junior, senior, etc. I would rather take someone who's been developing for a year but has a passion for it, and you can have a great conversation with over the design, the structure, and they can pick it up and run with it, than I would a 10-year veteran developer who just does what they do because it's a job, right? Um, I think we shouldn't put seniority wholly with the amount of time. I mean, there's experience, um, but I'd rather sit down with someone I can talk about, and we can grow, right? Um, a guy who thinks 20 years in with the masters, he's smart. Yeah, I mean, they can go hand in hand. I'm not saying they can't. 20 years and in, but can that person also help and grow and guide? Are they doing what they do because it's what they do? I've taken ownership of DevOps because I'm a home lab lobbyist, and it's my constant push on Aspire. Nice. Yeah. Afternoon. I normally say good day. I don't know why I started with good morning, but hey, I don't want to complain on stream. I've worked worse up. No, no. I mean, this is a community of people who do this thing, right? So these are common challenges. I don't mind talking about this stuff. I get it, game dev, but whether we do game dev or we do app dev, you know, this is all common. People suffer through these stuff, and it's good for people to hear these stories. So I'd be no high developer, passion, yes, skills, no. I think someone's underplaying his abilities. Yeah, the 5 year guy is very into coding. It's refreshing, and it is. It's why this is a great place to come in the mornings because it is. I love talking about stuff as has been apparent for a long time, right? And learning new ways of doing things, learning new tools, learning new techniques is what keeps us all fresh and able to build better software. And that's what I care about. So I don't care if you've been in for a few days, even if you really got a passion for this, um, then I love having the conversation. I'm that 1 year dev, time not equal to proficiency. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yeah. Mom is out of surgery and okay, got a 1 foot. Oh my goodness, that's the second person I've heard of having something like that recently. Well, I'm glad to at least okay. Oh, sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Tindall. I urgent find it Saturday, surgery Monday by 12. Wow. I'm sincerely sorry to hear that. As someone who has been affected by that horrible disease um, several times. I haven't personally, but my parents, my mum, my my wife's mother, my wife's grandma, my sister. It's uh it's tough. So I was a bit distracted just there. I understand. I understand. Yeah. Side project, new get package published in less than 2 hours. That's awesome. That's it's good to focus on stuff when you can't control things. I am a big fan of sinking myself into something else. I think it's not unhealthy. But no, I'm sincerely sorry to hear that. Yeah. Okay. So let's bring this back around. Um so what I am working on is I have been learning over the last couple of weeks a little bit about game dev, right? So I've been trying to build a game that encompasses several different concepts so that I can try and get my head around solving some challenges. Um, I have struggled. I have fumbled. I have ripped out tons of code. I've written new code. Um, and what I'm currently trying to do is put in an enemy aircraft that will fly onto the screen at a certain point. So I think the game runs. Is Godot using Mono and like Unity, or does it actually run .NET? It runs .NET. It's actually running .NET 8. So you can use all the cool techniques. So Godot runs, builds most of what it does using code generators as well. So um, it's it's full featured for certain. Yeah, and you get works. Yes, yes, you can pull libraries in, which is nice. So yeah, this is building on .NET 8. I think there are plans to get Unity there, but it just doesn't. It hasn't hit there yet. So what I was trying to do yesterday was I was trying to add in the concept of a wave, and a wave had a collision shape. The idea would be that this is a camera stop that would trigger um, wave trigger, right? So it would trigger um, and then I could identify all components of that wave that would then be told, um, "Hey, now move." So that's my idea so far. I don't know whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, but it seems like an idea. So we're going to go with it. I haven't done game dev since XNA. Before that, pure OpenGL. Before that, pure direct draw. Printf and scanf. So I wrote my okay. I have written a text game before, but it doesn't really count as a game because it was me learning C++. So I basically went through um, and I really wish I kept the source code. All these years later, I really wish I had that still. But basically, I had 2,000 lines or something of code, and as the program progressed, you could see that I started to break out and use classes, and I started to use more objects, etc. It was kind of interesting to see the evolution. Um, but I wrote a text game. I did play with some direct draw stuff in the late 90s. And but yeah, with all that pronouns, I built a mud from scratch, probably the most advanced it was. Let's call it leaky. Yes, yes. All early stuff is yeah. Yeah, I wish I had more cool stuff. And more stuff from my early coding time, it'd be cool to see. You know how sometimes I mean, you even now you write some code and a month later you go back and you're like, oh, why? Um, why did I do that? Imagine going back over 20 years ago and being able to see some of that code. It would be kind of fascinating. Um, Now I do have old 3.5-inch hard drives in the house somewhere that I did bring from the UK. So some of my older code might still exist, my old projects and stuff. Um, Maybe one day I'll go on a hunt and see what I can find. That does happen less nowadays. Some of that you don't want to see that code. Gains in coding are harder the farther you get into it. Um, I don't know. I think there's always stuff where I reflect back on and I think, I made a bad choice there. Um, I made all of Minesweeper in one single script. I remember in college, there's this one of my friends, Bob. He made Minesweeper in Java in the browser, and I just remember being amazed at how quickly he put it together and how good it was. I just remember being fascinated, like being fascinated by people that I actually could stand and talk to. But then I look back and I'm like, I didn't even have enough knowledge to ask the right questions back then. So, you know, so I would love to go to a conference because I think a conference would be um, fascinating. Now I'm a little bit more confident with going up to people as well and talking to people. The imposter syndrome often gets me. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we did get the area 2D there. So we have triggered that. So we know this is triggered. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, you did do one talk, right? On and you had a full room. From chaos to order using the repository pattern the right way. And from framework to .NET 8. I can imagine that's a lot of people fascinated with that. Yeah, I'm it's funny. I've been streaming for 5 years, and I'm still intimidated by the thought of giving a talk, and worried that I don't know enough. And also, I'm not sure where my speciality lies to be able to talk about something confidently. So the idea here is the wave trigger. Nice. Apex, good morning. How are you? Tons of technical issues. Ouch. I'm just going to ignore Mr. Jones. Troll. Sweet the repository pattern. Nice. And well, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're having a good conversation today. Um, until Mr. Jones. Um, um, yeah, having a good conversation, and I'm getting stuff working. It looks like. What are we talking about? Um, well, right now, I'm talking about triggering the enemies. So I want to be able to start this animation, start moving this object. So I'm just going to fly it down the screen, um, and I'm trying to create a wave trigger, and Favorite layer of the control or service repository? Service layer. I think one of the greatest skills you can learn as a developer is to not close your eyes, or not close your mind, rather, to doing something a different way. Um, and I'm not picking on you, Doctor, because I'm talking about like the repository stuff. Um, there's all sorts of ways of implementing code, and sometimes we implement code based upon what we know, what we what we've kind of learned. Sometimes we implement it as we're stumbling through learning. Game dev for me right now, um, and sometimes that journey is very important. But just because you've put the time in doesn't mean you should close your mind to doing something different and learning something. I think that's one of the skills we can learn is, okay, I've done it this way. It's a lot of work. Someone comes along and shows me a better way. I see that way, adapt and change. Don't necessarily jump for the sake of jumping, but open your mind to doing things differently and using the experience you do have to question this other way of doing things and grow your understanding of something. Um, Because, like I said, I was looking at the single project concept the other day, and I was trying to figure out what I didn't like about that and what I would do differently, and how I would explain that to someone as well. First slide is the repository pattern the right way. Then going to me, we implemented the repository pattern. I'm unsure if we did it right, but I haven't spent the time to understand it. Repository and EF framework, yes and no. If you already have your model, start by creating post-its for all your tables, models, and start grouping them. For example, price list and price might be together. I apologize for ads. Order now the same. Wait for it. It depends. Yes. I run into that exact issue of not having a repo between EF and my logic multiple times. Denormalizing it feels filthy though. I tend to ask the developers of my team things like, what are the questions we're trying to answer by doing this? For example, what is unit testing trying to answer? And does that lead us to different approaches? Yes. Oh, you do normalize. Most are very loose on those rules. I love a solid, it depends. If you repos, you want to denormalize, otherwise you can't split your model into different storage tags. So I've seen as many good and bad approaches to a lot of things. Repositories with EF core, I get why it can be controversial, or entity framework in general. I get the whole, well, it is an entity, it is a repository. Um, the way I've been using repositories from Ardalis these last couple of months in the main project, I've really kind of, it's gelled well. I've rarely got two repositories in the same action. I'm often dealing with a single object. I don't have database stuff in there. BBB keeps threatening to do a video on unit testing with Entity Framework, or testing with Entity Framework. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is. My brain shop is very web shoppy, but why not have orders in a document DB? That won't work if you have a relationship to product. Then a fair bit in indexing, covering indices. I really want to find some aggregates. You guys have done this to me again, right? I do game dev and we do normal content stuff, a conversation. So the game dev gets harder. Um, I'm not discouraging the conversation. I'm just like, because we did it last week as well, and it's 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 what I love talking about. So it doesn't the game dev kind of flies out the window, right? Um, no pun intended there, as I'm working on flying aircraft. I hear EF implements the repo pattern a lot, so I hear you don't need a repo a lot, right? And it's kind of given as direct. Um, you don't need this. Delta, it's EF implements unit of work at the context level, but DB sets are repos. Because you add and you update from the repo from the set, so they are repos. Um, I'm sorry. I'm giving the reason people. Yeah. Yeah, and the whole repos around entity framework thing is one of those where I definitely take pragmatism. I'd prefer to have a code base I'm comfortable working in, and I don't care how I've done it, than unless someone can tell me directly there's a performance issue with exactly what I'm doing. Um, then and directly guide me as to why this is bad, then I'm going to continue doing what I need to do if the code's working. The model isn't in EF. EF uses the model. Yeah, that's it. That's why I don't use attributes on my model. I never use data attributes on the model because I'm not representing the database in the model. The model is just the data. That's how I keep my brain separating it. Yeah, fluent. Yeah, I use the configuration of the object in the context. You're a noisy dog today. Um, but you don't want those models in your services. And I use Fluent to describe the database and the attributes. I use the model internally in the application because it's not in DP specific, but I create details for anything being shown externally. Yeah. I mean, I tend to just worry about, I don't overthink data transfer or I don't overthink. I don't expose. The only time I'm exposing the data model right now is in the GraphQL layer where it makes sense for me to create those views. So I'm only exposing the view model, not the view as in the database view. Um, yeah. Uh, Mythila Games. Hello, how are you doing? Let's try and make some progress in this. But that dog is going crazy. I'm trying to. I'm The reason I'm ignoring her overall is because I am. She needs to learn that she can't just cry and get me out there because when my wife and daughter go back to school in the fall, um, or in September, not even the fall that, I can't be jumping out there every time. Imagine a Thindle data library that contains all the models and a Thindle data EF which uses those models and a Thindle data Cosmos which uses the exact same models. Yeah, my repo is in Thindle data and the implementations are in the actual data libraries. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do right this second, um, is figure out how I want the aircraft. So I've got the aircraft here, right? And what I want to do is I've associated it with the wave, say. So when the wave is triggered, I want it to start moving this, right? I like structuring by something other than the object type as far as folders, directories, and projects go. That's a detail. I will again repose the right way, according to me. I'll have to have a watch of that. Okay, so I have a wave trigger. We know this fires now. So this an area entered was. Um, so how do I want to do this? Do I want to say everything underneath the trigger? Um, so for anyone new to the stream, I do game dev on Mondays and Tuesdays. Recently, this is me trying to learn. This is me trying to get my head around game dev a little bit and see if I can build something. So this is not aimed at actually becoming a game, more a project for me to kind of grow into. Um, I love games. I love playing games, and I've always wanted to make games at some level. But I have been an application developer for a long time, and I am kind of learning my way through this piece. Um, so so the conversation is absolutely fine to be on multiple topics. So if you're sat waiting and wondering where the game dev is, I will be working on it, but I'm also engaged in these conversations as well. You convert into data objects inside of your repo itself. Again, it's fine. Again, you've got to, you know, pragmatism, right? Does it work? Are you comfortable with it? Can you maintain it? If you are asked to fix it, why are you fixing it, right? What are you fixing it for? Um, and if someone comes along and says, "Hey, that's a wrong way to do that," and you go, "Oh, why is that wrong?" and they show you, and that method clicks with you, then yeah, then it's probably wrong because now you've got, or it's not necessarily wrong. It's you've now got a different way of approaching it, and you've now grown. You've learned something, right? So just because you do something different than another developer doesn't mean that you should worry that it's wrong. I've spent so much of my career worrying about it's wrong. Um, but we only know what we know, right? We can read a lot of stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can implement it. We can see an example of code, but we might not be able to apply it. And when we can apply it, then we understand, and then we can compare and we can grow in the way that we feel is the right way. Yes, you should be pragmatic. I think that layer should have its own details. Okay. Don't map your tables to your code directly. So what I'm thinking of doing here is um, let's add a contract, and I'm gonna be funny about the interface name again. Let's call this an I wave triggered. Let's just go with that. In my opinion, if you can show that your code runs, does the behavior, and is tested and documented, then the implementation details don't overly matter until there is an issue. I mean, that's what we should be striving for, right? We should be striving for maintainable, understandable, bulletproof, as best as you can achieve code. Um, I love the caveat at the end until there's an issue. Get contracts, repositories, and details in 3 different projects, hence my confusion in the repository pattern. So don't optimize too soon mentality. Does it work well enough, and is it tested as so there is some level of um pragmatism there, but there's also you should still write good code. But again, good code is subjective, right? It's what you can achieve. I have my model objects exposed to my facades, which create details with everything on the view will need, and the controller is basically for return a view. And the GraphQL implementation just throws me for a loop. So I have a question. Um, would it be interesting, and this is genuinely it's okay as no as an answer, but would it be interesting at some point in the near future for me to kind of open up Discord on stream and take the main project and kind of do a Q&A of some form where I can open it up for criticism and opinions and also use it as a um, dig in so we can say, oh, or here's how I do this, or ask the direct questions rather than worrying about does it relate to chat. Absolutely, that'd be neat. But obviously, I've got repositories from Ardalis in there. I've got a clean architecture like structure. I've got GraphQL. I've got SQL Server. I've got Kafka. So if I opened up the Discord one day and we jumped in there, kind of like a community session, but for an entire stream maybe, um, and we could dig in. Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm asking. I want to be able to provide meaningful, useful content to people, right? And going through this conversation, I'm realizing that we can keep showing examples back and forth, but it might be interesting to go through that. And um, the rules would be, I don't care about criticism. I don't care about people disliking what I do. If you can show me a better way on that stream, the challenge would be it cannot be a one person run process. So I'd have to come up with some sort of rules so that someone couldn't dominate the conversation or direct it their way. I have had that before, and it's very easy to fall into. Discord would be very helpful for community. Yeah, there is a Discord in the cards below, and it is so yeah, I'll put something together. Um, I'll let you guys know. I'll anyway off to work. Good luck all. Dota, thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for stopping by, and as always, for yet more engaging conversation. Do appreciate it. Um, yeah, okay. I'll put something together. Uh, I have a module objects exposed to my facade with great details of everything the view will need, and the controller is basically return and view. Because I've also gone on the road of logic in the controllers. Gone insane, but yes, pragmatic and don't prematurely optimize. Um, digitally, but literally. No worries, Lindell. Thank you very much for the look. I appreciate it. All good. I appreciate the look. Okay, so the aircraft is going to be I wave triggered, right? Um, and what I'm going to do here is in the wave, Bar. We're going to create a list of I wave triggered. Um, and again, for those new to the stream, I'm doing what feels right now. I'm not necessarily trying to do this the right way. Um, I'm just trying to fumble my way through a bit of game dev, and um, yeah, that's okay because I'm going to reset it anyway. What I'm going to do is going to say wave equals get children. Um, from C in get children. C, let's see if this does. It's a node. That works. Actually, I don't need that to be a list. I just need that to be enumerable. So that gives me the wave on area entered. So if area, so this will be the wave trigger, and the camera stop will be the thing entering it, right? So um, so I'm thinking here is I'm so I'm not thinking of planning as well. Um, switch. Um, okay. I want to know what that actually means. The weighing fish part. So let's just do it this way. So for each bar um, element in wave element dot notify wave triggered. So what this is going to do is private bool is enabled equals false, and then we're going to have the process either void private override process. Nice. So what we're going to do is, if not is enabled, return. Otherwise, um, we're going to move this. So this is similar to, right, the projectile, where we need to apply. So would you move an object on physics process off? Um, Interesting. Oh, interesting. Projectile area 2D. Vector 2 dot down. So we have speed. Export private low speed equals 100F. If you need physics applied to it. So it doesn't, so for this, I don't need physics. So, okay. If it has rigid body, you move out physics. Okay. That's the rule. Okay. Thank you. TI, SOC, canvas, and GPIO and canvas. Can you get any more acronyms in a single sentence? I'm pretty sure you can, but that was close. With TCP, which in turn is gets up to 4 scales. Yeah, actual hardware stuff is cool. Um, I love tinkering with electronic stuff, so I've often wanted to build stuff. There might be something around calculating collisions per frame is less performant, but I'm not sure. Okay, well, I don't really need to worry about that right this second. Um, so the fire, why doesn't that actually fire? We'll worry about that in a second. Oh, I know why. Because what we need to do is on notify wave triggered, we do firing timer dot enable dot start and is enabled plus true. So what this is about to do is it's about, if it works, a plane is going to fly down the screen and catch up with its own bullet, unless I set this right. Um, why haven't you got assignment yet? Aircraft, assign explosion. That's explosion. Assign cannon. Cannon. Right. Um, I like the expansion of the acronyms. That sounds cool. I know I've mentioned it on stream before, but the when I my first major .NET project was doing a an app for um, car parking in the UK, and I had to interact with rugged mobile devices in 2004, 2005 time frame. Um, it was a whole different world back then. So actually, why is that? That's not an area 2D, is it? Oh, it is now, yeah. But I got to play with mobile devices. I got to do printing. I got to do. I built a client server that communicated through a custom written XML processor in BASIC over a socket to the backend server. I got to do all sorts of really cool stuff, and I've never done anything that cool since. Actually, this project might be the Liquid Sky project might actually turn out to be the biggest project I've worked on in a long time. Want to know what my coolest, horriblest, boringest but really cool project was? I built an X11 proxy to rewrite some messages so they work with both new and older hardware. To make the new hardware decided that no one uses this old crap anymore. Turns out nuclear power plants still use that old crap. Coding Craftsman. Um, uh, he uh, he works at nuclear power plant. Um, but he does all sorts of stuff on stream. Sorry, the nuclear power plant triggered that. So I had to write a proxy to convert messages back and forth. Nice. Yeah. So back then, imagine right. So I wrote um, a soap proxy essentially, and then communicated with a. How did I do it? Was it custom XML? No, it was a custom XML. So I had a soap web service running that could um, that I could communicate with from the remotes from the Unix-based system running BASIC, and I actually wrote a full XML parser in BASIC to transfer data back and forth between the two systems. Um, that was, and I'm thinking now, I'm like, that was a lot of work, and it worked. It worked perfectly. That's kind of slightly medium around terrible protocol. That's it. Uh, the header is a different length depending on the opcode. Oh, nice. So you can't read a number of bytes, you have to read the beginning of it to know the length of it. Yeah. I think it's fun playing with protocols though and building protocols. That is kind of challenging. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is as I fly up the screen, the aircraft should fly down the screen. Yes. Look at that. Look at it. It's awesome. It triggered the wave. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit more excited than I should be, but so basically now if I do that, no, go in wave, and then I drag that there. Now I should have two planes that fly down just by being part of the wave. Let's get rid of some of these tanks. Yay. That's cool. X11 is from the before times. You're a bit younger than me, right? You know? Morning, Trap. How you doing? I see cool stuff. Trap what's on 3DO emulator stuff and libraries around that. It's well worth checking out. And yeah, I've always wanted to see something like Erlang's bitstream language using other languages. Even TS parsing much easier. Ah. Whereas, so if I create another, no worries, Trap. Um, hmm. Version 11 since 1987. A lot of servers depend people. If you're patient, they don't. Wow. I'm thankful I don't get to play with a lot of older stuff these days. It's okay, so if I could I create I don't want to necessarily create a scene out. Let's remove them for a second. Right. Can I create save branches scene? Let's see this. Um, components. Let's call that a wave. Okay. And now let's attach aircraft to the wave. All right. Position them there. Will this work? I'll let you guys just talk about your old stuff. There we go. Nice. So I've got a wave of aircraft coming down the screen, and now I can just drop a wave in the page, in the scene, and yeah. So I should be able to do that. Wave two, and that, and that there. Where is wave two? Uh, yeah. So the challenge is I need to make sure that they're left aligned because um so I can have these over here. There's no problem with having them over there. It's just I have the camera stopped down the side, so yeah. So there. They're not colliding yet, so that's gonna be challenging. But now the next set of planes should come down. There we go. So we have waves, we can add a wave in and we can make things trigger them. So if I had different behavior here, the behavior of the wave is not associated with the wave itself. I can change what these do, just the trigger means they move on screen. So that works well. Um, this is fascinating. I just don't have anything to add to this content because it's way outside my wheelhouse. It's binary. It's amazing that we're talking about ancient. You're talking about ancient tech, and you're talking about something that came from the 80s. Um, for those of us born in that decade, that is not. That's not helping me not feel old. Go on, you were born in this century, weren't you? Yeah. No, I mean, I think for me the fascinating thing is we're talking about ancient technology, but we're actually talking about stuff that's happened within the last 50 years. We have progressed from in crazy leaps and bounds to where we are now compared to other points in history, right? Um, I can't do pass inspection because the wheelhouse had sharp metallic edges, so I kind of use an angle grinder to remove the edges around the wheelhouse from the panel. Problem solved. Absolutely. But when you said you played with direct draw in the 90s, I'm pretty sure I also got to direct draw, but with my first box of crayons. Nice. From 85. Nice. Yes. I am a little bit older, but yeah, nice. Um, so why doesn't this actually do any pew pews? Cannon. I have a cannon, right? So the way this works, the tank has a cannon, Canon has a didn't put a bullet scene on, did I? So that's why it probably is trying to fire, but I don't attach the bullet scene. The reason I do the bullet scene is so I can change different uh the bullets out. Like, yeah. I'm from 25. I got Spectrum in front of me back in like 92 and 93. I was stuck with programming ever since. Yeah, young Gen X here. Those are years I wasn't alive. I turned 30 this year. Turned 30. Okay. So born in 94. I got a Vic 20 put in front of me the year that Thindle was born. And it fascinated me. I remember playing games on it. I remember trying to go through the book and write the code and then getting bored. I was 5 years old, right? So, um, and I picked it up numerous times over the years in between and didn't really get into the programming thing. And then in my mid-teens, I kind of learned I had a bit of a passion for it. 39 a week ago. Well, happy birthday a week ago, if I didn't say it at the time. My parents also gave me mini pots, Tinker Tools when I may have been too young. Yeah. Um, my problem was I went to console straight away because my a year, 2 years later, um, we got the Nintendo and with Rob the Robot and Gyromite. It doesn't feel. It feels very strange when I read that. I'm 90%. My mom gave me one of her C sharp textbooks when I was in third grade. I'm 90% sure. So having seen the start of .NET, having .NET came around in the early 2000s. Um, I mean, it was created. It started in the late 90s, um, and having seen it begin and not even see textbooks, it feels crazy to read that. But it makes sense, the timeline and stuff. But yeah. Okay, so I need to attach components. So I had a big bullet. Yeah, let's just put that there. It's not correct though, because rotation 180. Let's just go to the scene. Okay, it's just the way it does it. Okay, let's have a look. I'm over 40 and still climbing the hill. Family Geek, hello. One line, hello. How you doing? Got my oh, look at that. They're too fast for their bullets. Their cannon fire speed is off. That was 20 when C Sharp came out. I remember it coming out and all the controversy because MS tried to clone Java and then kind of just fought to C Sharp. Yep, I remember J Sharp. I mean, it was good proof of concept because they did come out with C Sharp did exist, J Sharp existed, and what else was it? There was something else as well. But they did prove, look, we've got a CLR, and there are multiple languages on it straight away. Um, Hi, my name. This is like a space shooter that's not in space. Well, with those physics, it's starting to look like it, right? No, this is just so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a game, a very simple game, just to try and get my head around Godot. I've never done game dev of any meaningful uh, um, context before, so I am trying to learn my way through this. So what I've just got working is been able to trigger waves. So when the camera is hitting these stops, these waves come down the screen. Um, and that's my success for today so far. Um, you look 30 because many factors. It's already very much not a fan of Java, so it's very uninterested in C sharp. Yeah, yeah, they did Visual J++ as well, but the Visual J sharp was, or J sharp. I forgot they whacked the word visual in front of everything back then, right? Um, I have books upstairs on Visual C sharp. Um, yeah, it was fascinating because obviously uh, they did prove the CLR concept, but then J sharp went away. Oh, that makes sense. I've got loads of experience in Godot, but I'm doing the same transitioning from 2D and 3D. Yeah, so um, I've I've been developing for over 20 years, right? I've been a .NET developer for 20 plus years. Um, so I'm comfortable with C sharp in general. Um, but I normally build applications. So Wednesday through Friday on stream, I build a larger application um, around project planning, project management and planning. And I'm building that. But game dev is something that always fascinates me. I love games. I collect games. I love retro games. Um, so game dev is um, something that I've always been fascinated with, but never been able to pick up. And I'm trying to get my brain there by just working my way through the problems bit by bit here on stream, sharing the struggle, sharing the fumbling, and hoping that it's maybe a little bit inspiring and a little bit confidence boosting for people seeing seeing how bad I can make it. Et tu, Rambling Geek? Et tu. Ouch. Mr. Jones has already cut deep once today, joining on the fun. You probably get the better results up front then. Well, we'll see what happens. This is the furthest I've ever got. I'm again, I might do some things that people wouldn't actually do, but I'll learn. I'll get there. And failure is an option. Um, that's actually waves trigger aircraft down screen. Um, bullets are running at same speed as the aircraft. No collision. I'm doing that so that if for whatever reason something changes right now, I've got that at least there. So the code for this is all available, by the way. I thought it was he isn't here at the moment. Yeah, but he already got his dig in today. So now I've had two digs. It's all good. Yeah, so if you're interested, the code for this is actually available. You're more than welcome to to have a look. So um not that it's gonna be anything revolutionary for most people, but it'll be fine. So the problem with this right now, well, there's several problems with this right now. So the first one is the the projectile is firing, but it is not actually. We need to let's just hide that. All right, let's see if they hiding them should stop them from working, right? I hope I don't see a bunch of projectiles appear on the screen. Um, for the enemy aircraft, the I don't want to make them too slow, but I might need to change the. I might need to give the cannon velocity so that the. Why did that hit? Oh, that's watch. Those. Yeah. Okay. So they are firing down, but the projectile itself has a speed of 120, but that seems wrong now, being that everything's a projectile, enemy projectile. So where do I? So aircraft has cannon, has a bullet scene. Bullet scene has projectile. That's the problem. Yeah, that's a poor design. That's going to trip me up multiple times. Mm. So let's copy. Allow me to. Um, New inherited scene. What does that do for me? Scenes, components, aircraft. Right, let's go with that for right a second. Um, I believe it's one of the fancies some witchcraft. Hey there, go Godot. Hey, producer, how you doing? Welcome in. Thank you very much for the follow. I said it earlier in the stream, but I want to say thank you to all those people that continually come and hang out with me and talk about this stuff and do this stuff. Yesterday, I hit my 1K followers on Twitch. Um, I do appreciate all the support and all those people that continually come back here and listen to me waffle on about stuff on a daily basis. Um, it is much appreciated. Um, so yeah, um, put the witchcraft in one of the function parameters. um, Streaming is a fun journey, but so if I do that, let's rename that. Does that rename that? No, it doesn't rename it. So it is, but it is inherited. So this is, it contains the same thing. So the speed 200, damage 5. Oh, I'm finally writing the blob storage access. You made it look easy, so I hope I do the same. I think you'll be fine. One thing that I will be working on tomorrow is actually to finalize what I was doing. Will be to be able to click on the link and download it again. Um, I was struggling with that yesterday. Not yesterday, on Sunday after stream. So this aircraft should have aircraft fire as its bullet scene. Let's see what that looks like. So these should come down a lot faster now when the enemy starts firing. Why are you aiming at something? Oh, what? What? No. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't care. Should probably just make the witchcraft an auto load. I haven't got to auto load yet. I will. Once I've got enough things working the way that I think they should work, what I'll do is I'll do a pass of, okay, now can I do this better? How does it work better? What's the difference? Because then I'll be able to compare. Oh, here's what I did, and here's why it makes it better. Um, so yeah, someone else mentioned autoload. I think Captain Fubar mentioned autoload as well, and maybe Apex. But okay, so that's because that's an enemy projectile, and I set the direction to the target. But that shouldn't matter though, because the fire at look at target. Yeah, that's a mistake. Global position direction too. So that's it should just be a projectile. I think I just want projectile. But I can't. Projectiles are an abstract base. Player projectile. Um, I'm going to create this just for understanding it at a distance, not targeted, non-targeted projectile is a projectile, right? Then back here, I'm going to attach non-targeted projectile there. That derives from Godot object. Okay. What? Damage speed. So 200. Aircraft fire 200. Enemy fire. That's fine. Aircraft fire 200. Aircraft fire can inherit from non-target projectile. So the idea of that is basically it follows the normal rules, right? So it's a normal projectile. Later on, I'll condense these down once I figure things out. But yeah, so what this will do is it will fire. It'll set its position based upon its firing vector. Its firing vector is set by the cannon. So when the cannon fires, it spawns a projectile and then fires at the target. The target in this case is just a vector down, whereas um, if it's got the radar attached for the tanks, that finds the position of the player and sets the vector towards that. So that's the direction that bullet's going to go in. So the enemy projectile, the idea being that this should turn towards, so the bullets fly in the right direction. That right now they're too big, but that's not something I'm panicking about. But this one should just behave the same as player projectile. Later on, again, I'll condense them, but if I want to put speciality in here, I can do. I don't need to rotate. I don't need to do anything like that. So what is that behavior looking like now then? There we go. Game over. What? Oh, that ain't good, is it? It's so easy to introduce bugs. I can just do something that I thought was normal, and then all of a sudden I've introduced a bug. Um, it's quite the challenge to this journey. So the bullets come down the screen. I can control their fire rate. Well, there are a lot more wrong things than the correct. So if I do aircraft, cannon. So if I set the fire rate, I would do that on the firing timer. So let's do that on 0. No, do that on 0.9. So space that out a little bit, the firing cannon. So I think now that the cannon probably gets the firing timer, but we'll worry about the design later. Not quite witchcraft. Um, we had some. Yeah, I think that game over screen is not working the way intended, is it? That's definitely erroring. That's why the way is straight and narrow. Visible on screen, not fair. Okay, so let's run it through here because then we'll have some exceptions. I apologize for ads. Okay, so one of the things I have to do as well is there we go. Notify cannot access a disposed object. Interesting. What disposed you, enemy? Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, you can't get access. They don't expose the disposed field, their flag there, which is right. That's not generally how it's done. So why is that? So shutdown gets called on ending timer timeout or on notify game over. Q free, nothing. I've not disposed anything directly there, unless game over. Get tree scorekeeper. That's fine. Uh, game manager, gaming manager. So I'm not disposing or shutting that Q, freeing the enemies. Q freeze safe from what I've read so far, right? So what is doing that? Let's run that once more. See what that is. So they should start firing. One, two, three, four. They fire really. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it's when the game over shows. So game manager. Uh, Add game over screen. On game over. Enemies don't clear. So the scene shows. So the fact that it's popped up on the screen tells me that the that part's fired, right? And then I fired this on game over. So then I call on game over dot invoke, and my enemies are listening to on game over. It's taking a college course in C sharp, but I use GD script with Godot, and this looks kind of cumbersome. Ah, I mean, it's what you're used to, right? Um, to me, to pick up GD script and work with the idiosyncrasies of that language and that structure would be harder than doing the C sharp part, right? So to me, it looks fine. And then some of this is going to be me, my structuring. I know that. Um, yeah. If you want to see someone that, um, I know that this is a Twitch stream I'm about to shout out, but if you want to see someone that does actually flip between C sharp and Godot and GD script in Godot, Canny is worth checking out. Um, Now that won't make it to YouTube, um, but that would be kind of. I need to get a bot or something working in YouTube so I can get things like that. There are some advantages to C sharp that I'm struggling to convince myself to shift over to it for. Yeah, I mean, if you're more experienced with Godot in general, then that switch over. Um, you know, the problem is once you start writing code in one way, you tend to take that style to that other language. So to me, I would be fighting against my instincts to name things differently or to structure things differently in GD script than in C sharp. So the I would not get effective use of GD script. So it seems to make more sense to me to use C sharp because then I don't have that to learn as well, right? I can use my C sharp knowledge to build this off of. So the enemy itself listens to game over, right? Notify game over. So that happens there. But we've already called shutdown. Um, we've already called shutdown. Why would we already call shutdown? gd.print shutting down. Uh, I don't care about style, so I just have to see. My name was Todd. I got someone. Hi, Connie. How you doing? I was just saying that You use GDScript and C Sharp in Godot, so you are a good example. Uh, you have knowledge on what you like and don't like about both. My name over on YouTube is a GDScript Godot developer, saying that the C Sharp looks kind of cumbersome, is the word. Um, so shutting down that. So let's see if. So one of the issues I have, right, is why don't they start firing for the longest time? So we have waves, Kenny. I've got waves coming on screen now. Okay. Shutting down tank. Okay, so the tanks were shutting down. What is this object? Oh, yeah, there you go. There's a point of view. Now is GD script harder to refactor because of the tooling or yeah. Okay. So this seems to be because I'm shutting down. It's not that the notifier has been removed, it's because I'm actually calling shutdown at the wrong point. There's no real tooling except search and replace. Hey, Captain Fubar, how you doing? Okay, so we'll worry about the collision afterwards on them. But there you go, that looks better. Now when I do that again, I also need to make it so that they can't be collided with if they're not active. Oh no. So now that's telling me that I am not not initializing or not cleaning up things properly. Still recovering from a nasty flu. Hey, doing science gets all blocked up. Yeah, it's a miserable feeling. Obviously, you can refactor, but it needs time, especially when the project gets bigger and bigger, and you find out that the one class you named A doesn't do A anymore because the specs has changed, and have to have fun to find A everywhere and rename it to B. Ah, it probably only take a week of actually doing it to get used to how much more verbose C sharp looks. I guess though. I mean, yeah. Again, if you have a solid reason to move to C sharp, then yeah, it'll take a while to get. It'll take a little bit of time to get used to doing it, but yeah, or you can just stop refactoring. Now, there's no there's no external tooling for GDScript, right? Specifically. JetBrains is an optional plugin, but that was also just semi-optimal. That's only week in hours. I like my code explicit and strictly tight. To be honest, the spaghetti isn't an issue for small projects. Goal is to make it work after all. Yeah, I mean, Tiki is not collaborating today. So I'm clear. What I have here is I have a problem of this. But oh, there we go. I'm doing the same thing there. That's why. So for some reason they didn't register the first time, but they did register the second time. Hmm. I think I think because of the explorative nature of games, and you're kind of solving the problems on the fly, right? There are some set patterns, but every time, but there's no like definition of once you get into more complicated things, right? There might be a set way of or a really understood way of like the bullets I'm using or the collisions I'm doing, right? There might be a kind of a well understood way of doing that. But once you get to larger challenges that are specific to your game, you're kind of exploring all the time. It's not like with the main app dev, I'm saying, okay, I have a pattern to follow. The challenge is not how do I solve the problem, it's where do I put the pieces of the code in the pattern that I've already got set. So it's much more repetitive in that respect. And once I've got a solid design down, I know, oh, I need to create this class in this folder. I need to create this class. I need to send this message or trigger this event. These are all things I know how to do. And I've done 10,000 times, etc. But with game dev, it's very, very creative. And if I get through a flow, I might not be thinking of that refactoring. So I'm solving problems, but I'm also adding more because I'm not really thinking of that refactoring necessarily, or even the structuring of the code. I'm worried about solving the problem. Um, and here I'm having things that have worked fine. I disagree. I think game dev works very similar to regular dev. Okay. Huh. Hence, if you really want to be more efficient, use documentation, game design document, have a bit of a longer planning process and keep it to if a killer feature arises to be flexible to allow after main feature implemented. But that's like planning software up front. That's why Agile exists, right? Because planning software too far up front often bites you. Um, because you don't know what you don't know yet. I agree there's a lot more creativity in game dev. In fact, I've become better at understanding regular dev due to game dev. I mean, I've seen your way of approaching game dev differs from other people's way of approaching game dev as well. You have applied some concepts that I've not seen other people do at all. Um, and you struggle with it, and hit some walls because of challenges. Um, yeah, I mean, right now again, I'm obviously very, very new on this side of things, right? Um, that's fair, and it could be that I'm also trying to apply my standard expectations of how to develop software to game dev, and that's what that's funny because it's what I'm trying to let go of, right? I'm not trying to overanalyze the pattern. I'm not trying to apply, oh well, I could use this method of doing this, like, I could do all sorts of crazy stuff with eventing and messaging and stuff, right? Eventually, when I get to the game I want to make, um i could uh I could definitely lean into more technology stuff because it's built, the thing I want to make is very much asynchronous. Just finished a 3 hour game dev session. Open YouTube to chill for some time. I found this. I don't know whether to say sorry or thank you or welcome in. I hope your game dev went well. Cold. So game dev, I do game dev on Mondays and Tuesdays on stream. I am trying to stumble my way through learning. I'm building a simple shoot 'em up right this second. Um, Not with any set goal in mind, just kind of putting the pieces in place to try and get my head around how I would build a game. Um, I normally do app dev on the rest of the week. So Wednesday through Friday, I do application development, and I'm building a larger application there. So I have to drop for work. I think it is awesome seeing the progress you're making, and I think it is awesome. These are my favorite streams. I'm glad that you get something from these APAs. I really do appreciate the feedback there. It is good to have you here and able to hang out. So thank you very much. Have a great day at work, and see you again soon. So that probably fixes that, but I don't know why it fixes that. So I've got to come back around on this concept of notifying the game over, because this shutdown shouldn't fire on things that I've disposed. It should only fire on things that are still active on the screen, um, unless I've disabled them. But this one's going to be a cleanup challenge anyway, because these aircraft fly off screen and they'll just keep going. Um, so I do need. Um, I've primarily used Godot for audio application building up to now. Oh, nice. I think maybe one day, I don't know of any time soon. I think I definitely would want to do some. I have an idea for the stream. Um, and I think Godot might actually be the tool that I want to look to for introducing some more interactive elements on the stream. Um, so I think I might end up doing some stuff with that. Um, I tried to apply my normal software architecture stuff on game dev too. That's the reason why I split data and view completely. Maybe one day I will do that. Maybe one day those concepts will appear to me and I'll be like, oh, I can actually do this. The one thing I'm embracing definitely right now is the chaotic. Let me figure this out. Let me figure this challenge out, and not worry too much about the design. And I think that's helping me move forward at a quicker pace. Streaming it is also aiding me in making progress. But you know, I'm loving doing this. It's a lot of fun. And I appreciate people coming in and hanging out with me and talking about stuff, because it is definitely easier when people are here. Mr. Anhorn, good morning. How are you doing? I'm in a touchscreen playable guitar with simulated pitch bend slides too. Godot's audio system is nice. Oh, cool. Um, there is a Discord for this stream, by the way. If anyone is interested in joining and doesn't have Discord overload, there is a Discord attached to the stream. In there, if you have projects you want to share or questions you want to ask, um, um, more than welcome to go in there. Um, if it's game dev related, my Discord might not be the best place though. So I would recommend checking out um, Annie and other awesome game dev streamers. Um, um, Sorcery is another awesome Godot dev. If you haven't seen her, um, she is building an amazing looking game and streaming a lot of that as well. Also in C sharp. Interesting. Eurus is. I'm not going to even try and pronounce the word. I know Bosca, but I cannot accurately pronounce the next word. Remaking apps in Godot that were previously made in Flash. Wow, that's cool. Okay, so the challenge? So the first challenge is, why do I not collide? Why do my projectiles not collide? So um, projectile exceeded screen, fire out, ready, collision occurred. That's fine. Projectile screen exit. Yeah, that will work. Player projectile. Celtic for music box thing. Oh, nice. Then I'm definitely not trying to pronounce it if it's a Celtic word. I will wreck that. So, enemy manager, game manager. Player on unit hit. Death occurred. Invoke this. So the enemy on unit hit. Right, that's what it is. So on unit hit. Right, so that should fire still, right? So let's give that one more go and then. So we do have some challenges in that the. Okay, so they're not colliding. I guess I'm not subscribing to that, am I? Where do I. One unit hit. One usage. Right. Please tell me I didn't use the others. Please tell me I didn't use. Uh, did I use. No, that's that, not that. I did. I wired it up in Godot in this one. Hmm. So one of the things I'm definitely benefiting from is I'm understanding um how to, like, where am I setting things up? How do I link things? Obviously, I lack the code here, so I could have done that from here, I think. Um, so that's interesting. Um, okay, so we're gonna wait for him to come down the screen so I can shoot. They fly down the screen. And I don't hit him. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I do not have any more time today. Um, Game Jam. So, to be honest, I avoid connecting signals in the interface with GDScript, makes it harder to debug. So again, what I'm doing, right, is I'm gonna end up reflecting back over here to figure out, okay, well, I did this. What's the difference between this and the alternative in the code? A signal versus an event, those sorts of things. I'll start to get my head around what do they mean and when should I use what, right? That's just experience. Experience will teach me those things. And I can start to understand more about why I'm doing certain things. And yeah, right. Um, but doing it, I can tell. I mean, I already immediately prefer doing it in the code, right? Because I can see when I can wire things up with code, I can see it. Um, when I was first doing Windows Forms, it drove me nuts because and I actually because of the origin, right? When I was picking up Delphi, however you pronounce it, that had that method that would initialize the UI, and it was always generated for you. And I disliked it because it hid the setup and the behavior. But then once I got my head around it, I was like, ah. And they took that same thing to WinForms. Um, when they did WinForms, they mimic that same pattern. Um, so it's kind of like hidden code that does things. So I kind of prefer. I understand though from the code where to get things, but then when it has an option in the editor, should I use one or the other? Yeah, we'll learn. The Color 5, hello, welcome in. Hope you are well. So we have something working, right? We have a game that is being built. The code is available. If you wanted to go and tinker with this, if you're interested, um, if you're interested in checking this code out, you're more than welcome to. I'm pink on my screen. How's that happen? Well, I'm not sure. But unfortunately, it is time. It is that time of the day where I do have to go and do the stuff I get paid for. So I will be back tomorrow. So for those that are new to the stream, on Mondays and Tuesdays I do Godot and game dev for right now. This is something that I do enjoy playing with. It is fun. I'm having a great time, and I'm glad that I've met a lot of new people through doing this. And yeah, tomorrow I'll be back on application development, and hopefully you get to join me for that. So we're going to raid over to full bots because yeah, and thank you, Mr. Jones. You've now had 2 digs, and Rambling Geeks had one, so that's uh that's your quota for the day. Thank you. And yeah, so I'll raid out to full bots. Thank you very much for joining me. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. And the Color 5, thank you for the follow. And we hit 1K followers yesterday, so still growing, which is good. So take care, all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.